Good morning, beloved woman of God. Before the noise of the world calls your name, before the weight of responsibility settles on your shoulders, before fear tries to whisper lies into your spirit, pause, breathe, and remember who you are. You are a daughter of the Most High. You are clothed in strength and dignity. You are rising today not by accident but by divine appointment. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we greet this morning with gratitude in our hearts and hope in our souls. Thank you for the gift of waking up, for the breath in our lungs, for another chance to walk in purpose, another chance to love boldly, another chance to live faithfully. Lord, I lift every woman listening to this prayer, every mother, every sister, every daughter, every woman who feels strong today, and every woman who feels tired but still stands. God, speak your blessings over her day. Speak peace into her mind when worry tries to take control. Speak calm into her heart when anxiety knocks at her door. Speak courage into her spirit when she feels unsure of her steps. Father, remind her this morning that she does not walk alone. You go before her. You walk beside her. You stand behind her as her rear guard. Let her know that even when the path feels uncertain, your hand is steady. Even when she feels unseen, you are watching over her with love. Lord, bless her hands. Bless the work she will do today. Whether in an office, in a classroom, in a home, or in places no one else notices but you. Let everything she touches be filled with excellence and grace. Let her words be kind yet firm. Let her actions be guided by wisdom. Let her decisions be anchored in truth. God, strengthen her where she feels weak. Heal her where she feels broken. Restore her where life has tried to wear her down. If she has been carrying silent battles, be her refuge. If she has been shedding tears no one sees, be her comfort. If she has been waiting on a breakthrough, be her reminder that your timing is perfect. Lord, today we reject fear. We reject doubt. We reject the lies that say she is not enough. Instead, we speak faith. We speak confidence. We speak joy that does not depend on circumstances. Let her walk into this day knowing she is capable. She is worthy. She is chosen. God, crown her efforts with favor. Open doors no one can shut. Protect her from harm seen and unseen. Surround her with people who uplift her spirit and honor her calling. And when the day grows long, when strength feels low, remind her to lift her eyes. Remind her that she is still held, still guided, still deeply loved. Father, let her end this day with gratitude, knowing she did not walk in her own strength, but in yours. We seal this prayer with faith. We step into this morning with hope, and we declare that today will be blessed, not because the road will be easy, but because you will be with her every step of the way. In Jesus' name, Amen. Before the sun has fully stretched its golden arms across the sky, before the world begins its loud asking and endless expecting, a woman must remember who she is. Not who she is to her job, her family, her responsibilities, or her past mistakes, but who she is in the eyes of God. For identity is the first battle of every day, and if it is lost in the morning, it must be fought all over again by noon. She is not an afterthought. She is not a leftover blessing. She is not here by chance or by someone else's permission. She is a daughter of the Most High God, crafted with intention, breathed into existence with divine care. Long before her name was spoken by human lips, it was known in heaven. Long before she learned to doubt herself, God believed in her. There are mornings when she rises feeling strong, shoulders back, spirit steady. And there are mornings when she rises feeling tired before the day has even begun, carrying yesterday's weight into today's light. Yet her identity does not shift with her emotions. Whether she wakes up confident or uncertain, hopeful or heavy, she remains God's beloved. The truth of who she is does not depend on how she feels. It rests in who God says she is. She is strength wrapped in softness. She is courage learning how to breathe. She is wisdom shaped by experience, and grace shaped by survival. Every line on her face tells a story, not of defeat but of endurance. Every scar, seen or unseen, speaks of a battle fought and a life preserved. She is not broken. She is becoming. Too often, the world tries to hand her a false mirror. It tells her she must be more, do more, prove more. It measures her worth by productivity, beauty, or perfection. It whispers that she is falling behind, that she is not enough, that her voice should be quieter and her dreams smaller. But God's mirror tells a different story. In it she sees a woman crowned with purpose, clothed in dignity, and guided by divine love. As a daughter of God, she does not need to earn her value. She does not need to hustle for approval or beg for belonging. She already belongs. She is already accepted. She is already loved beyond measure. This truth frees her. It allows her to walk into her day without apology, without shrinking, without fear of being too much or not enough. Her identity anchors her when the winds of life blow hard. When criticism comes, she remembers whose voice matters most. When rejection knocks, she remembers she is already chosen. When failure tries to define her, she remembers that God's grace has the final word. She learns to stand firm not because she has all the answers, but because she knows the one who does. Being a daughter of God does not mean her life will be free of struggle. It means she will never struggle alone. It means that when she feels weak, she is held by a strength greater than her own. It means that when she cannot see the way forward, she trusts the hand that leads her. It means that even in uncertainty, she walks with purpose. There is power in a woman who knows who she is. She speaks differently. She moves differently. She loves differently. She no longer wastes her energy proving herself to people who were never meant to understand her. She pours her strength into becoming who God called her to be. She gives herself permission to grow, to rest, to heal. As a daughter of God, she learns that rest is not laziness, it is obedience. That boundaries are not selfish, they are wisdom. That saying no can be just as holy as saying yes. She honors her body, her mind, and her spirit as sacred ground, knowing that God dwells within her. She also understands that her identity is not diminished by her roles. She may be a mother, a wife, a sister, a leader, a caregiver, a dreamer, or all of these at once. But none of these define her completely. They are expressions of who she is, not replacements for her true identity. At her core, before any title, she is God's child. When she begins her morning rooted in this truth, the day meets her differently. Challenges may still arise, but they do not shake her foundation. People may misunderstand her, but they do not rewrite her story. Circumstances may change, but her identity remains steady, grounded in eternal love. And so she steps into the morning with quiet confidence. Not loud, not boastful, but assured. She carries herself with the calm of a woman who knows she is seen. She walks with the grace of a woman who knows she is guided. She speaks with the authority of a woman who knows she is supported by heaven. This is the power of knowing who you are in God. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is not pride, it is peace. It is the unshakable truth that no matter what the day brings, she is already held, already loved, already enough. And as the sun rises higher and the hours unfold, she carries this truth with her like a quiet song in her soul, a reminder that she does not walk this day as a stranger to God, but as His daughter, deeply known and dearly loved. Before the day has a chance to name itself, before the world begins to speak its demands in loud and hurried tones, there is a sacred moment when a woman can choose her words. In that moment she holds a quiet power, the power to speak life instead of fear, faith instead of worry, blessing instead of burden. What she declares over her morning has a way of following her through the hours, settling into her spirit, shaping how she sees and how she stands. Words are not empty breath. They carry weight. They carry direction. Long before a step is taken or a decision is made, words prepare the ground. When a woman speaks God's blessings over her day, she is not pretending trouble does not exist. She is deciding who will have authority over it. She is placing her trust not in circumstances but in the promises of God. There are mornings when her mind wakes before her body, already racing ahead to unfinished tasks and unanswered questions. Worry tries to speak first. Fear tries to rehearse every possible outcome. But she learns to interrupt those voices. She learns to open her mouth and declare peace even when her heart is still learning how to rest. In doing so, she reminds her soul who is in charge. To speak God's blessings is to align her heart with heaven. It is to say, "This day belongs to the Lord, and so do I." It is an act of surrender wrapped in confidence. She does not need to know every detail of how the day will unfold. She only needs to know who walks with her into it. When she speaks blessing, she speaks peace over her mind. She tells anxious thoughts they do not have permission to rule. She chooses calm over chaos, clarity over confusion. Even if peace does not arrive all at once, her words invite it to stay. They create space for God's presence to settle where worry once lived. She also speaks strength over her body and spirit. She acknowledges that she may feel tired, stretched thin, or uncertain, but she declares that God's strength will meet her where she is. She understands that strength does not always look like doing more. Sometimes it looks like standing firm, sometimes it looks like resting without guilt, sometimes it looks like asking for help without shame. Speaking God's blessings means she speaks wisdom over her choices. She asks God to guide her words, her actions, her reactions. She declares that she will not be driven by impulse or fear, but by discernment and grace. Even in moments of pressure, she trusts that God will give her the right words at the right time. There is also blessing in speaking favor over the unseen parts of the day. She blesses the meetings that have not yet happened, the conversations she cannot predict, the encounters she does not expect. She invites God into every moment, understanding that nothing is too small to be covered by grace. She believes that doors can open quietly, that help can arrive unexpectedly, that grace can meet her in ordinary places. To speak blessing is also to speak protection. She places her day in God's hands, trusting Him to guard her steps and shield her heart. She does not move in fear of what could go wrong. She moves in faith that God is watching over her. This does not make her careless, it makes her confident. She knows she is not walking alone. Sometimes speaking God's blessings feels bold, especially when circumstances suggest otherwise. It can feel risky to declare joy when sorrow lingers, or hope when answers are delayed. Yet this is where faith finds its voice. Faith does not wait for evidence. It speaks based on trust. It believes that God's word is truer than the moment. As she continues this practice, she begins to notice a change, not always in her circumstances, but in herself. Her posture shifts. Her breathing slows. Her reactions soften. She becomes less shaken by setbacks and less defined by delays. The blessings she speaks in the morning echo throughout the day, reminding her of what she has already placed in God's care. Speaking God's blessings also teaches her to listen. When she speaks with intention, she becomes more aware of God's voice, responding in quiet ways to a sense of peace, a timely thought, a gentle nudge. She learns that prayer is not only about asking, it is about aligning, about agreeing with what God has already promised. This daily declaration becomes a sacred rhythm. It is not about perfect words or long prayers. It is about honesty, consistency, and trust. Some mornings her voice may be strong. Other mornings it may be barely above a whisper. God hears them all. The power is not in the volume, but in the faith behind the words. And so she steps into her day, having already spoken light into it. The sun may rise behind clouds or shine without obstruction, but her spirit is anchored. She has already decided that this day will be guided, covered, and held by God. Whatever comes, she will meet it with faith on her lips and hope in her heart. In speaking God's blessings, she claims her morning before the world can claim her attention. She chooses to believe that grace will meet her, that strength will carry her, that love will surround her. And as the hours unfold, those spoken blessings do not fade. They rise steady and sure, carrying her forward one faithful step at a time. There is a comfort that settles deep in a woman's soul when she knows she is not walking this life alone. not the passing comfort of kind words or temporary reassurance, but the enduring peace that comes from knowing God's presence surrounds her like breath surrounds the body, quiet, constant, and necessary. When she understands that God goes before her, walks beside her, and stands guard behind her, fear loses its grip and uncertainty loosens its hold. From the moment she opens her eyes in the morning, God is already present. He is not arriving late or catching up to her worries. He is there before her thoughts begin to scatter, before her heart begins to rehearse what might go wrong. He goes ahead of her, preparing the way, smoothing paths she cannot yet see, arranging details she does not even know to ask about. This is the kind of protection that does not announce itself loudly but works faithfully in the background. When she steps into her day, God walks beside her. Not as a distant observer, but as a companion who understands her pace. He walks with her through crowded rooms and quiet moments, through laughter and disappointment, through strength and fatigue. When she feels unsure of her next step, his presence steadies her. When she feels overwhelmed, his nearness becomes her refuge. There are moments when the weight of the world presses heavy on her shoulders. Expectations pile up. Responsibilities call her name. Life demands answers she does not always have. Yet even then, God's presence does not withdraw. He remains close, offering a peace that does not depend on ease or clarity. In His presence, she learns that she does not have to carry everything by herself. Protection is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the missed opportunity that later reveals itself as mercy. Sometimes it is the closed door that saves her from a path that would have drained her spirit. Sometimes it is the quiet restraint that keeps her from speaking words she might regret. God's protection often shows up as guidance, as redirection, as gentle correction born from love. There are dangers she can name, and dangers she cannot see, yet God guards her from both. He protects her heart from bitterness when disappointment tries to settle in. He protects her mind from lies that tell her she is not enough. He protects her spirit from becoming hardened by pain. Even when life leaves marks, He does not allow it to destroy her. When she knows God is with her, she walks differently. Her steps may still be cautious, but they are no longer fearful. She moves forward, trusting that even if she stumbles, she will not fall beyond His reach. She understands that protection does not mean the absence of trouble. It means the presence of God within it. God's presence also teaches her discernment. She becomes more attentive to what brings peace and what steals it. She learns to listen when something does not feel right, trusting that God is guiding her intuition. Protection often arrives as wisdom, helping her choose what aligns with her purpose and step away from what drains her spirit. There are seasons when she feels strong and capable, and seasons when she feels fragile and uncertain. In both, God remains faithful. He does not withdraw His protection when she feels weak. In fact, His strength shows itself most clearly in those moments. When she has no words, He intercedes. When she has no strength, He carries her. Knowing God's presence also gives her courage to rest. She does not have to be constantly alert, constantly girded, constantly proving her resilience. She can lay down her worries at night, knowing that God does not sleep. She can release control, trusting that the one who watches over her never grows tired. Protection extends beyond the physical. God guards her calling, her purpose, her becoming. He shields what is growing inside her, even when it is still fragile and unformed. He protects her future while she is still learning in the present. What is meant for her will not miss her, and what is not meant for her will not overtake her. In relationships, God's presence becomes her filter. He protects her from connections that would pull her away from her true self. He leads her toward people who honor her spirit and respect her boundaries. Even when relationships end or change, she trusts that God is preserving her heart for what lies ahead. There will be days when she cannot feel God's presence, when silence seems louder than reassurance. Yet even then, protection does not cease. God's presence is not measured by emotion but by promise. He remains with her, even in the quiet, even in the waiting, even in the unknown. And so she walks into each day with a quiet assurance. She may not know what the road holds, but she knows who walks it with her. She is covered from front to back, surrounded by grace, held by love. This knowledge becomes her strength, her calm, her courage. God's presence does not remove her humanity, it sustains it. His protection does not make her invincible, it makes her secure. And in that security she finds the freedom to live fully, love deeply, and walk boldly, knowing she is never, ever alone. There are places within a woman that the world never sees. Quiet corners where weariness settles. Hidden rooms where old pain rests. Gentle spaces where hope flickers but does not always burn bright. Life has a way of asking much from her, sometimes more than she feels she has to give. And yet, even in her tiredness, even in her silent struggles, God is at work, offering strength where she feels weak, healing where she feels broken, and renewal where she feels worn thin. Strength does not always arrive as a sudden rush of energy. Often it comes softly like morning light slipping through a window, steady and sure. God's strength meets her in her honesty, not in her perfection. When she admits she is tired, when she acknowledges she cannot do it all, she creates space for divine strength to enter. This strength does not shame her weakness, it honors her humanity. There are days when she feels strong enough to lift others, to encourage, to give freely of herself. And there are days when simply getting out of bed feels like an act of courage. God meets her in both. He does not measure her worth by how much she produces or how well she holds everything together. He strengthens her not so she can impress the world, but so she can endure with grace. Healing too often begins quietly. It does not always announce itself with dramatic change. Sometimes healing starts with permission, the permission to rest, to feel, to let go of what no longer serves her spirit. God heals her not by erasing her past, but by teaching her how to live whole in the present. He touches wounds that have long been ignored and reminds her that pain acknowledged is pain that can be transformed. There are hurts she carries from words spoken carelessly, from love that did not last, from dreams that were delayed or denied. These wounds do not disappear simply because time passes. Yet God's healing reaches places time cannot. He sits with her in her sorrow, listens without judgment, and gently reshapes her heart. What once caused her to close in on herself becomes a place where compassion grows. Renewal is God's promise that she is not meant to stay depleted. It is the gentle reminder that life can be restored even after seasons of loss. Renewal does not mean becoming who she once was. It means becoming who she is now, with greater wisdom, deeper faith, and a softer strength. God renews her spirit the way rain renews the earth, not rushing but nourishing. In renewal, she learns to breathe again. She learns that joy can return without erasing memory, that laughter can coexist with tears, that hope does not deny pain but rises alongside it. God teaches her that renewal is not about forgetting what hurt her, but about no longer being defined by it. There are moments when she feels broken beyond repair, when life has taken more than it has given. Yet God sees wholeness where she sees fragments. He gathers every piece of her story, the triumphs and the traumas, and weaves them into something meaningful. Her brokenness does not disqualify her. It deepens her capacity to love, to understand, to stand with others in their pain. Strength, healing, and renewal often work together. As God strengthens her, she finds the courage to face what needs healing. As healing begins, renewal follows. She starts to feel lighter, not because her burdens have vanished, but because she no longer carries them alone. God teaches her to lay them down one by one, trusting Him with what she cannot fix. This process takes time. God does not rush her healing or demand instant renewal. He moves at the pace of her heart. Some days progress feels slow, almost invisible. Other days she looks back and realizes she has come farther than she thought. God celebrates each step, no matter how small. Through this journey, she learns to be gentle with herself. She understands that healing is not weakness, rest is not failure, and asking for help is not surrender. It is wisdom. God invites her to treat herself with the same grace she so freely offers others. As she is renewed, she becomes a living testimony, not because her life is perfect, but because she continues to rise. Her strength inspires not by force, but by authenticity. Others see that healing is possible, that renewal can happen even after deep pain. Her life quietly says, I am still here and God is still working. In moments of stillness, she feels the steady presence of God restoring what life has taken. Her spirit feels lighter. Her heart beats with new hope. She may still carry scars, but they no longer ache the way they once did. They have become reminders of survival, of grace, of God's faithfulness. And so she moves forward, not rushed, not pressured, but renewed. She understands that strength will meet her again tomorrow, that healing is ongoing, that renewal is a promise she can return to again and again. In God's care, she is not merely surviving, she is being restored, one faithful moment at a time. There comes a moment in a woman's life when she decides to stand differently. Not louder, not harder, not with clenched fists or borrowed bravado, but with a quiet certainty that rises from within. It is the moment she chooses faith over fear, confidence over doubt, and trust over the constant need for reassurance. She does not wait for the road to clear before she steps forward. She walks because she believes she is guided. Faith does not erase uncertainty, but it gives her courage to move through it. She understands that confidence is not the absence of fear, it is the decision not to be ruled by it. Fear may whisper warnings, but faith speaks promises. And she learns day by day to listen more closely to the voice that tells her she is capable, held, and prepared. Walking forward in faith means she no longer measures herself by yesterday's failures or tomorrow's unknowns. She anchors herself in the present moment, trusting that each step carries purpose. She does not rush ahead in panic, nor does she linger behind in regret. She moves with intention, allowing God to direct her pace. There was a time when doubt lived loudly in her thoughts, questioning her worth, her ability, her right to dream. It told her she should stay small, stay safe, stay silent. But faith invites her to rise. It reminds her that she was not created to shrink, but to grow. That her voice has value, her presence has meaning, and her dreams were planted for a reason. Confidence rooted in faith does not require constant validation. She no longer looks to the world to tell her who she is. She listens to the steady truth of God's word spoken over her life. This confidence is gentle yet firm, humble yet unshakable. It allows her to stand her ground without hardening her heart. As she walks forward, she learns to trust God not only with outcomes but with the process. She understands that growth is rarely linear. There will be detours, delays, and moments of discomfort. Yet she trusts that none of it is wasted. Every experience shapes her, strengthens her, prepares her for what lies ahead. Faith also teaches her how to let go. She releases the need to control every detail, the urge to predict every outcome. She places her plans in God's hands, believing that His vision reaches farther than her own. In letting go, she does not lose direction, she gains peace. Confidence in God's presence frees her to take risks that once felt impossible. She steps into opportunities with courage, knowing that even if she stumbles, she will not fall alone. Failure no longer defines her, it instructs her. Setbacks no longer stop her, they refine her. She learns to rise not because life is easy, but because faith is steady. Walking forward in faith also changes how she responds to others. She is less defensive, less reactive. She does not need to prove herself or compare her journey to someone else's. She honors her own path, trusting that it unfolds at the right time. Her confidence allows her to celebrate others without feeling diminished. There are moments when the path feels lonely, when obedience requires choices that are not understood or applauded. Yet she continues, anchored by conviction. She knows that walking with God sometimes means walking alone, but never abandoned. Even in solitude, she is accompanied by purpose. Her faith gives her the courage to hope again, to dream again, to believe that good things are still possible even after disappointment. She refuses to let past pain close her heart to future joy. Confidence helps her open herself to life again, trusting that God can redeem what once hurt her. As she walks forward, she carries grace with her. Grace for herself when she falters, grace for others when they fail. Faith teaches her that perfection is not the goal, faithfulness is. She shows up, she tries, she trusts, and that is enough. There will be days when confidence feels strong and days when it must be chosen. On those quieter days, she leans on God's promises more than her feeling. She remembers that faith is not always a feeling. It is a decision to keep walking even when the path is unclear. And so she moves forward step by step, heart steady, eyes lifted. She does not know everything that awaits her, but she knows enough to continue. She knows that she is guided. She knows that she is supported. She knows that her life is held by a God who does not fail. In this knowing, she finds her strength. In this trust, she finds her confidence. And in this faith, she walks boldly into each new day, not because she has all the answers, but because she trusts the one who does.